So it was another weekend of twists and turns in the Championship. We got a lot to go over today. So guys, welcome back to the channel and to another episode of the Championship Roundup. Now today's video will be split into two halves. So the first half of the video, we're going to be rounding up all the action that went on in the Championship over the weekend. And then in the second half of the video, I'll be giving you guys my midweek score predictions. So get all your thoughts in the comments down below. Get your score predictions in there as well for a chance to be involved in the next video and get yourself onto the prediction league. And speaking of your guys' score predictions, I will include them on screen now. So fair play to everyone who did manage to get one right. There were quite a few this weekend. I had a decent week. I got two of mine spot on. That was Brentford against QPR and Blackburn up against Barnsley. But a big shout out has to go to Sam Parkinson for being the only person to correctly predict Rotherham 2, Bournemouth 2. So a big shout out goes to Sam. If we take a look to the side of me, what that means for the main prediction league, we now have 11 people who have broke the 100 point barrier. So really competitive in there at the moment. Like I say, I had a decent week. I climbed up to third in the table at the moment, but it is still Juvest FC leading the way with 124 points. And then if we take a look at the League One table to the side of me, these are the people who are close to getting in to the main prediction league. We've got a couple of new entries coming in here today, but it is Jacob Newman who is closest to climbing into that league at the moment on 88 points. So guys, if you do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and please do subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. We're pushing our way towards 30,000 subscribers, so if you could help us out, that will be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's talk about these matches. And kicking things off with Friday night's game, that saw Brentford claim the bragging rights as they struck QPR by 2-1. Now we had quite a few controversial decisions to talk over in this game, but the opening goal by Brentford, lovely bit of play. It's Rico Henry on the left hand side. Everyone at QPR sort of seems to get sucked into the ball. He sees Yana on the edge of the box. It's a terrific finish for his first goal for the club. QPR do equalise though, and this is what they do best. On transitions, Asai Samuel absolutely breezes his way into the Brentford half, and the quality of the delivery as well into the box, and Dykes gets on the end of it with a powerful finish to make it 1-1. It's at 1-1 where these key decisions come into the match actually. So there's another lovely counter-attack by QPR. It was Willock who put Dykes through on goal. Sorensen then comes into the back of Dykes, sort of nudges him off. He goes down, and ultimately QPR then are appealing for the red card for him being the last man. The referee only gives a yellow card there. If that had gone the other way, and we have seen decisions like that given a red before, the game's completely flipped on its head from there, isn't it? From that resulting free kick, they almost scored, but Barbet hits the side netting. Brentford, though, also had their share of misfortune. Ivan Toney did have the ball in the back of the net, but that was ruled to be offside, but replays later showed that that might have not been the right decision. But it was Ivan Toney eventually who did score the winning goal. It was a great bit of movement, gets across his man, puts his body in there, and he continues this absolutely sublime goal scoring streak for him at the moment. Kane then gets the red card for a bit of a silly challenge. That's his second yellow, and ultimately QPR can't get back into the game from there. But guys, let me know in the comments down below what you made of this one. Like I said, quite a few talking points coming in from this game. In the grand scheme of things though, that's a pretty big 3 points for Brentford. It keeps their unbeaten run going and now leaves them 7th in the Championship, just 1 point off the top 6. Next up then to Reading, who claimed all 3 points against Bristol City in what was an absolutely terrific home performance. Now, Bristol City for this one weren't really at their races. It was probably one of the worst, if not their worst performances of the season so far. In pretty much all areas, they were second best. Apart from Daniel Bentley, who popped up with a couple of decent saves, they were pretty lacklustre. But taking nothing away from Reading, because they were absolutely superb for this game. The main man, no doubt about it, Michael Olise, the assist for the Yaku Mate goal. I mean, the vision and technique with the outside of the foot pass to pull that one off, absolutely superb. Reading have got an absolutely cracking player on their hands now, created more chances than any other player this weekend, and currently leads the way for assists in the league. But there were some really nice passages of play from Reading in this one. The first goal from Ajaria maybe got a little bit of fortune about it with the deflection at wrong foot of Daniel Bentley, but they were deservedly on top by that point and deserved their lead. Obviously, Naki Wells got Bristol City back into it, but that goal was quite short-lived. Then Lucas Jow got his goal late on as well. A terrific finish, by the way, for that one. And Reading look much better. The result takes them back up to 4th in the Championship now, so 26 points after 14 matches. Bristol City would have been disappointed that they didn't test that Reading defence enough going forward. You know, defensively they had a couple of shaky moments in recent matches, but going forward, Reading absolutely fantastic. Let me know down below, guys, how good is Elise going to be? Next we're then to St Andrews, where we had a bit of a drab game really. Birmingham 0, Millwall 0. Probably not all too surprising considering these two sides have each drawn the most amount of matches so far this season. Millwall have actually drawn their last 5 consecutive matches in the league. They probably had the best chance to go on and win it. Murray Wallace with quite an acrobatical overhead kick, but Etheridge was level to that. And apart from that, there were a couple of set pieces that each side threatened from, but ultimately nothing really all too clear cut. For Millwall, it does seem as if, you know, if Jed Wallace isn't going to come up with something and conjure a goal out of nothing, they seemingly struggle to break teams down. I mean, these two sides in the season so far have been two of the lowest scoring teams, both averaging less than a goal per 90. With Birmingham, it's been a bit of a frustrating season for them. I think a lot of their fans will be quite frustrated, but it's clear to see that they are a side who is transitioning at the moment. You know, if you look at some of the, you know, comical goals they conceded at times last season, they have been a lot tougher to beat so far this season, but ultimately they've just not had enough punch going forward. Two sides who have made themselves tough to beat this season, but as a fan, it can be quite frustrating draw after draw, can't it? Next up then we have Blackburn beating Barnsley by 2-1. Blackburn continuing their impressive run. This now leaves them just 3 points off the top 6. Now, it wasn't without Barnsley having their chances going forward. We picked out Lewis Holtby as their key performer last time out, but this time around a lot of praise has to go to Thomas Kaminski. What an introduction he's been into this Rovers side so far this season. Whenever he's played, they're so much more composed at the back, and obviously Barnsley, with the way they like to play, chances are always going to come around, but Kaminski was level to pretty much everything, and this was a game which last season Blackburn probably don't go on to win, but with that stability that he brings them at the back, it gives them so much more confidence going forward. The opening goal by Adam Armstrong, assisted by Nyambi, who pulled it back. Lovely strike, hits it with real venom behind it, but he's a player who's obviously playing with real confidence in the moment. And the goal from Gallagher as well, also expertly taken. Really nice finish from just outside the box. But like I say, it wasn't without Barnsley having their chances in this one. Mads Anderson had a very good chance, but Kaminski came up with a brilliant reflex save to tip it over the bar. Palmer eventually did get on the score sheet, and Kaminski probably didn't get the clean sheet that he deserved from this one, but massive 3 points for Rovers nonetheless, who continue this impressive run of form. And then we had Cardiff beating Luton by 4-0. Now, if ever a manager needed a result, it was Neil Harris this weekend with Cardiff, but he went ahead and got that. In the end, it was all a little bit too easy for the home side. Luton, with the run that Cardiff were on, would have been a little bit disappointed with themselves. I thought they had quite a bit of the ball, but ultimately ended up playing into Cardiff's hands, really. I mean, they were 2-0 up after 9 minutes. 3 of Cardiff's goals came from set pieces here, which was always going to be the main threat. The other one coming from a counter-attack. So for Cardiff, it was very much back to basics of what they do best, but give them credit, they took their chances for this one. Goals coming from Morrison, Harris, Kiefer Moore, and Ojo. Harry Wilson with 2 assists in this one. Really good performance from him. And the result for Cardiff lifts them up to 14th in the Championship. Ultimately, it is still quite a way off where they want to be come the end of the season. I think with that squad, they should be challenging in and around the top 6, but maybe this will give them a platform to go ahead and bounce back up from. We'll wait and see. It's early days to tell. Next up then, we had a really interesting game at the bottom of the Championship as Derby played out a 1-1 draw with Wycombe. Now, it was a little bit of a game of two halves. Probably the biggest positive for Derby was the impact of Colin Kazim-Richards going forward. We mentioned it quite a few times on the channel so far, but the lack of a target man up front for Derby, someone like a Chris Martin to bring others into play, those 3 who like to play off the striker, has been a massive omission for this Derby squad so far this season. But Kazim-Richards on his first start, I actually thought did really well. He did get a goal, but that one was ruled out for offside. Had a hand to play in the goal, which was given though. Nice assist for Dwayne Holmes, a lovely little flick as he got his first goal of the season. And like I say, he gave that platform to other people to play off him. For that first half, Wycombe did set off Derby a little bit and allowed them to play. And as soon as Richards came off, that was when the game plan for Derby sort of fell apart. Wycombe put that Derby defence under a lot more pressure. The goal was a little bit calamitous in the end. It was a ball that came in from Onyedema. Both Wisdom and Marshall. Listen, I've been Marshall's biggest fan so far this season, but I think he's quite weak for that goal that Bloomfield eventually scores. And if one side is going to go on and win it, it probably was the away side who had the better chances towards the end. They had a ferocious one which came off the crossbar. I think that Marshall might have got a slight tip on that one, but at the end of it, I think that both sides might be a bit disappointed that they've not walked away with 3 points from it, really. Midweek is another massive opportunity for Derby. They need to build on this performance now after not picking up all 3 points. It's another quite winnable one against Coventry, but as of right now, they are still bottom of the table and they need these sort of games to be turning into 3 points. And then one result which I really didn't see coming was Huddersfield getting back to winning ways, beating Middlesbrough by 3-2. Now, not a lot of sides I think will put 3 goals past Middlesbrough this season, but it was a well-deserved 3 points for the home side against really an uncharacteristically poor Borough side. It was the away side who took the lead through Marvin Johnson, and when they get into that 1-goal lead, you're thinking this is going to be classic Borough here. They'll close the game out and it'll probably end 1-0, but credit given to Huddersfield, they turned things around before half-time. I think who continues to impress got them back into it, and it was Campbell who made it 2 before half-time. That Campbell finish, I thought he'd sort of messed up and taken too long to get the shot away, but it just about bundles over the line. He does well in the end to make it 2-1 going into half-time. Borough do get back into it late on through British Sonbalonga from the penalty spot. It was Naby Sarr who gave the penalty away. On first watching of it, I thought, oh, that's a definite penalty. You know, Sarr's gone to ground there and the player's gone over him. When you watch the angle behind the goal, though, it looks incredibly soft. If there is any contact there, it's minimal to say the least, but Assombalonga finishes well, but Huddersfield do get all 3 points. I think it was deserved in the end. Josh Coroma with a brilliant finish, stands up Dijksteel, takes it onto his stronger side and then finishes well into the far post. What I would say about Middlesbrough, a lot of their high performers this season had a bit of an uncharacteristically poor game in this one, you know. But Dijksteel and Bowler, two fullbacks who I've been a massive advocate of so far this season, both were pretty lacklustre in this one. Huddersfield had their way with them, but the big result for the home side nonetheless. Next up we had Norwich playing out a 1-1 draw with Coventry. Now we mentioned in the preview to this one, if Norwich were ever going to drop points this season, it would probably come around this time when they have as many injuries as they currently do, and you know, looking at the lineup from this weekend, it was a bit of a mismatch one, wasn't it? But Norwich had sort of a 15 or so spell when they were really on top in the first half of this game, when they had a lot of chances going in and around the Coventry box. Eventually they took the lead from the penalty spot. It was Mario Varancic who took it well down the middle. The question begged, was it actually a penalty? In real time I thought that yes it was, but seeing the replay, the goalkeeper just looked to get to the ball before, I think it was Placheta, wasn't it? And that obviously gives Norwich the lead going into half time. But credit to Mark Robbins, used his bench really well in this game. In the end it was Biamu off the bench who came up with the equaliser for Coventry, who were pushing forward a lot more in that second half. They had, you know, a lot of spells on top in that half. It was a really good away performance from them in that spell. Norwich, with the amount of injuries that they have at the moment, I think that if they come through this period and try to get players back in gradually, as long as they're still mixing it around the top three, I think that Norwich will take that. Next up then to Rotherham against Bournemouth, one of the most entertaining games of the weekend actually. Finished 2-2 between them, and either side at the end of it could have been saying we could have gone on to win that one really, with chances that each side had. Now Bournemouth took the lead thanks to a penalty. It was a little bit of a soft one, but Blackburn, once he goes into that area with an experienced striker like Dom Solanke, as soon as a bit of contact comes in, Solanke's always going to go down. So Stanislas took that penalty away, but Ladapo gets Rotherham back into it, and it was the informed striker who was the main man for Rotherham. Whether he meant his second goal or not, I'm not so sure, but a brilliant bit of technique nonetheless to catch out the keeper, lofting the ball over him, making it 2-1 to Rotherham. Ultimately though, Bournemouth do get back into it. Dom Solanke this time gets on the score sheet. Nice ball comes in from the left hand side from Rico. Could Blackman have done a little bit better for that one? Perhaps. He does get a hand to it, but it's just not strong enough to stop the header from going in. Blackman, to be fair to him though, does make up for it with a nice one-on-one save against Solanke, who was racing through on goal. Now, when you consider the gulf in funding between these two sides, this was a really good battling performance from Rotherham, who so far this season have been no easy touch, especially at home. I think the home side especially will take a lot of confidence from that performance. Next up then, it was Sheff Wednesday against Stoke playing out a goalless draw at Hillsborough. Not a classic one that's going to live long in the memory, I have the feeling of. Sheff Wednesday, it was another match where they failed to have a shot on target. Their second under Pulis so far. They didn't have a shot on target against Preston either. But for Wednesday, I know they are still lacking a little bit of personnel going forward. You know, they didn't have Josh Windass in this one, who's always willing to be that sort of willing runner, playing off the last shoulder, going in behind. But systematically, something needs to change a little bit just to give them a bit more punch going forward. It was Stoke who had the better chances in this game, but Joe Wildsmith actually had a top performance back in the starting 11 thanks to Kieran Westwood's injury, and another clean sheet for him. He's actually been really good between the sticks whenever he has been called upon so far this season, so he'll continue to grow in confidence. And at the back, they've actually shaped up quite well so far under Pulis, but it's going forward where you ask those questions of Wednesday at the moment. And Stoke will take that clean sheet quite happily, and that should give them quite a bit of confidence after conceding 6 goals from their last 2 matches. You know, they'll have found it to be quite a frustrating game, but they'll take the point and move on to their next game. And then we had Watford dispatching North End by 4 goals to 1. This wasn't the ideal match that we wanted at this point in time, considering some of the injuries that we got at the moment, and after how midweek went against Blackburn, confidence you'd expect would be pretty low in the North End camp. To be fair, I thought we started out alright. We had a couple of chances. Brad Potts and Shonny Maguire had a couple of flashes before eventually Watford took the lead after 9 minutes. Defensively, from our point of view, it was pretty slack. It was a nice ball in from Sarr to Queener at the far post, but to have that amount of time in that sort of area was disappointing. But we gave a decent account of ourselves in that first half. Second half, the game did get a little bit away from us at times. They got their second from the penalty spot. I don't think it was a penalty. I thought it was very soft, Sarr going down in that occasion, but we do get back winning from Barkhuizen with the help of a deflection. But I mean, the third goal, there was absolutely nothing we could do about it. It was a great bit of interplay from Watford. Troy Deeney back in the starting 11 for this one, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic. You know, led the line brilliantly, brought others into play. The assist for this goal, sort of a chip over our defence went into Chalobah, and then an excellent finish to go along with it. That's like Premier League football being played in the Championship right there. At 3-2, there's a big moment in the match. I did think we should have got a penalty for Emile Reese. That one's not given, and ultimately Watford make it 4-1 thanks to João Pedro from a corner. Another bit of slack defending from us, then, you know, at 4-1, the game's completely over, and Watford see it out from there, really. So, big confidence booster for Watford. You know, they've had a couple of matches so far this season when they've been maybe a little bit frustrating going forward, but this time round, you know, they were absolutely clinical. Preston, it doesn't get much easier for us with a midweek game coming up now against Bournemouth. Then we had Swansea claiming all 3 points at the City Ground as they saw Forest by 1-0. That now leaves Forest on a run of 3 successive defeats. Now, it's a frustrating time to be a Forest fan because there were elements of that performance in the first half of signs improving, really. You know, Lyle Taylor has a good chance. Knockout has a fantastic chance. He shows a real moment of quality, cutting inside from the right hand side onto his left foot. I mean, how many times have we seen that over the years, and how many times has he just bent it into the top corner? He gets his shot away, but Woodman saves well. In the end, it's sort of straight at him, but moments of little quality there. That's what we need to see from Forest more going forward. But ultimately, it was Swansea who took the lead just before half time. It was Ayew's cross, which was sort of hooked to the back post by McKenna, and in the end, Roberts put his head where it hurts to give Swansea the lead, making it 1-0 going into half time. And then a really professional performance from the Swansea side in the second half saw out all 3 points, and like I say, a big win for them in this one. With some of the pressure that they withstood from Forest going forward, you know, Forest fans will be, you know, damning some of those chances that they missed in the first half, but the result leaves Swansea 4th in the table after this weekend. But guys, there we have it. There were all the matches that went on this weekend. Do get all your thoughts in the comments down below as to what you made of your team's performance. In terms of my result of the weekend, a lot of contenders in here. I think Reading 3-1 against Bristol City. It was such a good performance from them, which showed them really getting back to their best, and against the Bristol City side, who's been tough to play so far this season. Goal of the weekend, a lot of contenders for this one. I'll put a poll out on the channel. If you've not voted on that, go over to the community tab. For myself, I think I'm going to give it to Nathaniel Chalobah. It was a wonderfully worked goal for Watford's 3rd against Preston, and really well finished off. So those were all my thoughts on what I made of the midweek action, but now without any further ado, let's hop into my midweek score predictions. So heading into these midweek fixtures, we're starting out with Tuesday night's game, Cardiff up against Huddersfield. Now we'll see if Cardiff can take that confidence from putting 4 goals past Luton into this one. Huddersfield themselves, you'd think, will be running high on confidence after quite the unpredictable 3-2 game they had against Middlesbrough. This game, I'm going to go for a draw in it. I'm going to go 1-1. It's two quite clashing styles going up against each other, so it's a tough one to call. Birmingham up against Barnsley. Birmingham have been drawing a lot of games recently, and I wouldn't put this one also going to a draw, to be completely honest with you. It's going to be another sort of tight game that Birmingham don't look to give away all too much to the opposition. I'm going to go for another draw in that one. I'm going to go 1-1 as well. Bournemouth up against Preston. Preston still with a bit of a depleted squad. We will have a few more bodies returning for this one, but with the attacking threats that Bournemouth have got going forward and the amount of goals that Preston are shipping at the moment, I'd be surprised if we got something out of the bag in this one. I'm going to go 3-1 Bournemouth and hope that I'm proven wrong in that one. I just think they'll kill us with pace going forward. Derby against Coventry, absolutely massive game. We'll see once again if Colin Kazim-Richards can have the same sort of positives effect on this side, but defensively they still looked a little bit shaky when Wycombe put them into a couple of uncomfortable areas. Going to go for another draw in that one, 1-1 in that game. QPR against Bristol City, very interesting one. QPR will be looking for vengeance after losing that game on Friday against Brentford. Bristol City looked quite a bit off the pace, I thought, against Reading, to be completely honest. And QPR can, if they're on it, catch you out at home. I'm going to go 2-1 QPR in that game if Bristol City aren't quite up to their game. Rotherham up against Brentford. Brentford are slowly starting to find their form. They're on a decent unbeaten run in the Championship at the moment, but Rotherham aren't to be taken lightly. It was a really good battling performance, but I think I am just going to edge towards Brentford in that game. I'm going to go 2-1 to the away side. Into Wednesday's games, we then got Middlesbrough going up against Swansea. Borough will be looking to bounce back from that quite uncharacteristic game that they had against Huddersfield, conceding 3 goals. Swansea on the roll themselves. They find themselves in the top 6 at the moment. They'll want to carry on this good bit of momentum. I'm going to go for a draw in that game. I'm going to say 1-1. Blackburn up against Millwall. Millwall have struggled recently hitting the ball into the back of the net, and Blackburn have been pretty decent with Kaminski in net. They've also been scoring goals going forward. I think it is the home side who I'm fancying that game. I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn. Luton against Norwich. Luton were a pretty shoddy in midweek against Cardiff, probably the worst we've seen of them so far, but Norwich still with quite the depleted squad. I am going to edge Norwich in that game, but if Luton do get back to the way that we all know they can play, I think they'll give them a good game, but I will go 2-1 Norwich. Forest up against Watford. It's another tough game for Forest, which hasn't come at an ideal time for them, really. It's another game which I can see them giving it a really good go, but I think that in the end Watford's quality may just tell. I'm going to go 2-0 to the away side. Sheff Wed Wednesday against Reading. Wednesday under Tony Pulis so far have been a good defensive unit, albeit they've not been great going forward so far. And it's quite the clash of styles here against this Reading side who looked absolutely tremendous going forward at the weekend. I'm going to go 2-0 Reading in that game. They seem to get their mojo back at the weekend. And then to finish things off, we have Wycombe going up against Stoke. Wycombe continuing on this decent run and only 2 points off safety at the moment. Stoke had a bit of an indifferent game in midweek, to be honest, against Sheff Wednesday. Going to go for a draw in that game. I'm going to say they'll cancel each other out and it'll finish 1-1. So that's what I'm fancying for all the midweek fixtures. Do get your score predictions in the comments down below for a chance to be involved in the next video. But other than that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today. So thank you so much for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But other than that, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.